Cue the lights. The mic is hot. Put on my radio face.
Some like it hot.
Good morning, everybody. This is the American Forked Podcast. Cue the out-of-tune big band music.
This is quite the production you've just set up for today.
For some reason, America thinks that division and controversy is going to get us somewhere. I really like these lights. The light blue looks good.
Is this part of your intro?
No.
Don't
Yeah.
comment on the room. Jeez. Just introduce.
For some reason, America thinks that division and controversy is going to get us somewhere. They seem to be addicted to separating individuals and groups so that they can feel like their clan is being strengthened.
Please don't use the word clan.
But we, on the American Forked Podcast, that's for later. On the American Forked Podcast, we believe that the division or the forking that has occurred in America is contrary to where we should be going. So, as a group of friends, from American Fork, by the way, we get together and we talk about the things going on in the world, and we hope that maybe some of the things that we say can maybe bring society together. And as a group, we kind of have a goal of bringing together people with differing opinions and coming to kind of common grounds and still love each other, even though we disagree on many things.
Right. We're not trying to solve the world here, but we do think that even though we disagree on a lot of stuff, that people can come together and agree on something.
Yeah.
Whether it's tricycles or barbecues.
Yeah. Or what religion is the coolest one?
Which one's going to heaven?
Yeah.
Which one's going to hell?
Or which political party is going to heaven?
And which one's going to hell?
We already know which ones.
All of them are going to hell. They're going to hell before our eyes, actually.
But yeah, we really like to get together, and we actually enjoy conversations with each other about things that we may disagree on. And you'll notice that a lot of the things that we talk about, we do tend to politically. I think the three of us have very similar opinions, but we are always very, very open to listening to and at least hearing other opinions, and you know, I myself have shifted my views about some things.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, it's based on we want to hear what the truth is, and what people feel about it. So
Yeah. I love it, Jakey. That's what we do here.
that's what we do. You'll notice our new little logo on the bottom left corner of our podcast image is more focused on the forking of society, and our solution is to turn that image upside down and bring them back together.
Oh, that's so cute, Jake.
Yeah, it was
well
like
done.
the two.
Maybe our last episode will be that image upside down.
Oh, there you go. Because we'll have fixed America.
Yeah. So
by
when
the end of
America's
this.
fixed, we will stop.
We'll change the name to American Fixed.
American fixed.
I like it.
So today, my name's Jake. I'm here, and Jeff is also here,
Hi.
and Phil is here as well.
I am here.
As you can imagine, I was not here last week. I was visiting the Disneyland.
The devil.
Did you drive or fly?
The Disneyland. We flew.
Oh, okay. So you
It
flew.
was,
You flew over the Mojave Desert then.
Yeah, we flew over the lights.
Yeah. You were the lights.
The Mojave lights. That was me.
That was pretty cool.
He's like, I was just yesterday. I was flying over. I saw some lights in the sky. That was me.
Flying
Anyway,
to
it's
It's a
Disneyland.
good impression of yourself. By the
Disneyland.
way.
No, that was him. That was Ben
Oh, okay.
talking about the Mojave.
And you're like,
lights.
that was just me.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
the
okay.
plane. That I was
I'll let him know.
Mhm.
I don't think it's true, but okay.
I listened to the episode. It was great. I loved his stories. Like, that was super awesome. If you haven't heard that episode yet, go to episode 54, Mojave Lights, and hear some of his experiences growing up in the Mojave Desert as a kid.
And as Phil said, I think we just scratched the surface. I'm sure he'll come back and share more. It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
There will be some good times ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, we scratched the surface a lot on this show.
Get it?
That's me scratching the surface. Yeah, so I was in Disneyland last week, and it was amazing, as always. The greatest place on earth, happiest place on earth.
Did you have to wear a mask in the park
We only had to wear masks when we were indoors,
while you were eating? Oh.
just indoors.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so standing in line, you didn't have to wear one
No.
outside?
So it's funny because obviously you're like shoulder to shoulder with other people when you're outside. So like the Peter Pan ride, for instance, half the line is under a roof, and so they have a Disneyland employee standing there right when you get to the covered area, telling you to put on your mask. So you've been in line.
What
shoulder
would
to
they
shoulder.
say specifically? Because I guarantee they have a specific thing to say, right?
Some of the
please.
rides they'll tell you make sure your mask is covering your nose and your chin at the same time. Put your hands and feet inside the cart at all times. Thank you. Enjoy the
Right.
ride type thing. But it was more. It didn't seem scripted when they would tell you
okay.
please put on your mask, and they would have a bag of masks there for you. If you
And there's
needed
just
one.
a human employee. It wasn't like Goofy standing there.
no
going, like,
R2D2 wasn't there, or Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
But
Sorry to derail. Anyway.
yeah, so you're standing in line shoulder to shoulder with other people, breathing each other's air, and then as soon as you get under a covered area, you have to put on your mask. So that was weird, but not as bad as when we went to Disney World last year. It was like you couldn't walk and eat at the same time. You had to move off to the side of the trail, take off your mask to chew, and then put it back on. It was crazy.
It sounds crazy.
Was this your first time flying in COVID?
No, I've flown a few times.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
This is my first time.
How was it?
I thought it was funny because, like,
No,
Yeah.
you didn't go to Disneyland with Jake.
no,
You-
I
you
I went to San Diego
with yourself.
with all by myself.
Oh, you flew?
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, I flew down.
In the COVID-infested plane.
So yeah, you're
Sure.
in the plane wearing a mask, but then they're still serving food and snacks and drinks.
Yeah.
So everyone's taking their mask off,
Mhm.
and they're like, just take it off
To chew.
quickly to bite, and then put it back on, which no one does.
Right.
It's like, this is a joke. Why not just say wear a mask if you want or don't? Because everyone's taking it off to chew anyway,
Yeah.
and in that second, everyone on the plane has everything that everyone else does.
Yeah.
Is that not
Well,
fair to say?
My understanding is that planes are actually extremely safe because it's a air controlled environment. So like the air circulates a lot more than like if you're hanging out, in a dank, stale hallway of the Peter Pan ride or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's filtered and the air moves around. It's not. I don't know. That's
See,
what I've heard, but that was probably from Fauci, so I don't know.
See, that doesn't make sense to me because it does make sense they're filtering the air, but by filtering it, you're circulating it, which
Right.
means
Distributing it well.
who's ever 5 things in front of you, right? It's like
The air's moving.
blowing
your,
towards
your
you.
mouth air is moving all around the plane.
right.
Right.
Instead of just like you're more likely to get something 20 rows ahead of you in theory. Now I don't know. Maybe the things that blow up above you, there's like a out vent, like down below your seat or
Right.
something. So it's like
It's an antiviral air is what it is.
so it's like
you're-
sucking it straight down.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was
It
interesting.
is stupid. It's 80 people crammed into a can, and you're like, hey, don't infect each other.
Yeah,
And you're still holding hands and making out with the person in front of you, and it's like, come on, guys.
yeah.
Right?
right?
Well, it was like all this time we've been like, oh, don't do this, don't go to school, blah blah blah. But in the meantime, if we've been having flights,
Yeah.
then that's like
These
that's
are
it.
just-
Like there's nothing more you can do because you're taking a percentage of the population, squishing them into a can for a couple hours, depending on where they're going.
Yeah. I think this is a good time to introduce your jar over there.
Yeah, I forgot I hadn't gotten to it yet, but we've mentioned COVID
Oh yeah,
probably 15 times now in the last 5 minutes.
that's only
Jake
a quarter.
actually
So I
brought
have a
it.
jar
Yeah.
that says COVID jar on it. We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Pay up.
when we mention COVID, that's not. I think we should do it when it's not related to the story.
Yep, Phil.
Was it not related?
I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Well,
That's a receipt, Phil.
Those are lottery tickets.
I do have. Here's
Okay, fine. There's money in the COVID jar.
bring some IOUs,
Okay,
business cards.
go to the next story so you don't bring it up again.
All right.
So Disneyland. I know, Phil, you're not a big fan of Disneyland, but Star Wars Land is the coolest experience.
Is it?
Ever. You walk in and you're like, wow, where are the cameras? I'm in the movie right now.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It's like the detail is incredible. They've got people in
Costume?
appropriate
Stormtroopers.
costume, walking around. Stormtroopers taking pictures with people,
Whoa,
interacting
whoa.
with people. Like they got a couple stormtroopers kind of on a stage, and they're interacting with the people in the crowd, and they pull them up and talk to them and stuff. And you walk in the back of the area, the Star Wars land, and there's a life-size Millennium Falcon sitting there that just looks like, I mean, it's so awesome. You walk in,
that's
you
cool.
feel like you're in a movie. There's a ride called Rise of the Resistance or Smuggler's Run where you actually pilot the Millennium Falcon, and you walk in. There's the deck, the Millennium Falcon with like the round chessboard game that they've got sitting there and everything. I mean, it feels like you're on set, but it's just incredible. Like if you go just for Star Wars Land, it's totally worth it.
And it's part of Disneyland.
Yeah,
It's not like a separate ticket or whatever.
No, yeah, you get into Disneyland, it's like in the far north area to the west of Toontown.
It's a whole new land, right? They didn't convert anything to it?
No, they built a whole new place.
Wow.
They've got the real estate there for it, and they still have plenty of real estate for more stuff if they want to expand more.
Interesting.
But,
How many were you there? Just one day, or did you? Do
so we
multiple
flew
days?
down Friday after work, and then Saturday morning we woke up, went to Disneyland. Sunday we just kind of hung out, didn't go to the parks, and then Monday went to Disneyland again, and we bounced. We had 3-day bounce passes, so we went to Disney and California both days. So we still have an unused day that we want to use this year sometime.
Oh, you have to use it within a year.
Yeah, it's a calendar year thing.
I did not know that.
See,
That's cool.
it makes
Or
more
maybe
sense.
it's annually from the time you bought it. Anyway,
It does make more sense to me if you're going for like more than one day, because I feel like Star Wars Land. It sounds like that's a whole day right there.
Yeah.
yeah,
It
you
could be.
You could spend a day in Star Wars Land. There really are only those two rides in Star Wars Land.
Oh, there's only two
Smuggler's
things.
Run and Rise of the Resistance. But there's like shops where you can make your own custom lightsaber. They've got different stores, and they've got not the cafe, but the famous on Tatooine.
Yeah. I don't
You
know.
walk.
I know
We
the
didn't
song.
go in there because there was a line for it. But
Oh, yeah.
the
Go get blue milk
cafe,
or
you can
whatever.
Go in and eat. They sell the green milk.
Green milk. Oh.
And everyone's carrying it around.
Huh.
It's like $8 for just a cup.
Yeah, it sounds like the only reason you'd leave is to get a $40 turkey leg.
Yeah. $11.99 for a turkey leg.
Oh, that's state fair prices.
But we did
That's
get.
about right.
So I went and got Zoe and Logan and Piper turkey legs, and then
Your
went,
kids.
the kids turkey legs, and then we went back to Frontierland to go to the Mexican restaurant, and I wanted a taco salad. It's still as good as I remember. Probably the best taco salad I've ever had.
Oh yeah.
But that was only $11. Big taco salad.
Did you
So-
get a $15 hamburger that might be served by a sex trafficker?
What the hell?
I didn't
Don't you guys
get,
remember my
get the
song?
Epstein burger.
Oh, the Epstein. The Epstein.
I
I'll
do
get the
remember
Epstein
that
with
song.
cheese.
That was one
Thank
of my
you.
favorite bumper songs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The Hillary
Jeez.
"Don't Eat My Babies" or whatever.
No,
that
it
the
was
one?
the Disney one.
Yeah, where there's some people that got busted for trafficking.
We had
worked
that,
at
the
Disneyland.
Disneyland
Yeah.
trafficker's story.
Yeah. your kids came back alive?
They did
They're
come.
good?
They are my kids.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
And they came back unscathed.
Did you? How are you guys? I don't want to derail, but how when you go places like that, are you like constantly just like, "Where's my kids?" Or do they stay around pretty well?
I got a story for you.
We didn't have any problems. One time Piper got left behind.
Pass
but-
this to
But
pass
it
this
was
to
like
Kevin.
we had gone right.
Pass this to
He
Kevin.
just got on the plane right there. It's his jacket. We had moved like 50 feet, and I just went back and got her because she was in the same place. I was dropping the stroller off for the Indiana Jones ride, which is also amazing.
Is that
Just
It
Pirates
is.
of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, the Matterhorn, the bobsled, and then all of the stuff at California Adventures. You've got the Incredicoaster, which is Incredibles themed, and you've got all of the new Marvel campus there with Spider-Man stuff and
Yeah.
just so many things.
But is it worth being in California for?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's worth
Good.
It's worth the $5+ in gas that you buy
Oh yeah,
to get to the park.
that's crazy.
But the freaking parking is $30 a car, which is so stupid. And they park like over 1,000 cars a day.
right.
So or probably thousands of cars in a single day.
yeah?
Anyway.
It's a lot of money that they're making.
It sounds fun though.
Yeah,
I need to take my kids.
I asked that because I went to the aquarium that same weekend with my family,
Right.
and the whole day was like, "Where's
Were they
my kids?
all over the
Where'd this
place?
one go? Where'd this one
Really?
go? Where'd this one go?"
Cover the exits.
Yeah. So we're just like running around looking for our kids the whole time.
Oh, you went with your family?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it was Crystal's birthday.
They came
so
back
we went
and-
to,
Went to the aquarium.
yeah.
That's pretty cool, huh? The aquarium in Salt Lake.
It
that
is
what you're
cool.
talking about?
Yeah. It's cool,
Oh, they're
but
talking about San Diego.
oh no,
That you went by yourself.
I went to San Diego
San
by
Diego.
myself. I was working, unfortunately.
So I have a story this week. Me and my wife went to the Deseret Industries, which is a thrift store, and we were there for, 10 minutes. And my son, whenever he goes with us, he'll just go straight to the toys and just start playing with the toys. So he's back there playing with the toys, and then this lady comes up and is like, "Have you seen a little boy? He's about 3 years old." We're like, "No, I haven't seen it." Like, it was just my son back there playing with the toys, right? And we'd been back there for 10, 15 minutes, and they're like, "When was the last time you saw him?" "Oh, about 20 minutes ago." This lady just left her kid back there playing with the toys for 20 minutes and then came to check on him. Long story short, I don't want to make it too short, but my wife's like, "You haven't seen your son for 20 minutes and he's 3?" Like, and she was pacing around the store real quick trying to find him. My wife's like, "You need to call the cops now. Like, call the cops. You're missing your son."
Yeah.
And she goes and tells the store. The store employees block all the exits to make sure that he doesn't get out somehow. He's got to be in
if
here.
he hasn't already.
Right. And then it turns out there's 3 adults with this child that came together, and all of them just kind of like left him over there. They're all checking in between the racks and opening the cupboards. It's a thrift store, so there's all kinds of different things. It's not like a Walmart where it's all very set up, or a Target, where it's like that shelf is always like that, and what's behind there. There's stuff around. Well, anyways, it got really upsetting. The lady just breaks down crying. They can't find him. It's probably about 45 minutes this kid's missing. We go out in the parking lot and check out, and there's people checking the field next to him, pacing back and forth, and like cop cars speeding off and like going to find. Anyways, it was so upsetting because this lady is just interpolated. Somebody found a pair of shoes by the couches, and they split the couches apart because there's 2 couches, and the freaking kid fell asleep between 2 couches.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So we were leaving, and when we were driving past the entrance, there's all these cops out there, right? And the lady has her son, and he looks like all dazed and confused. And I'm like, oh my God, he got out and he went somewhere. Like, he was like red in the face, probably from smashing his face against the pillow or something, or the back of the couch. Anyways, we asked an employee, we're like, so where did they find him? They're like, he was between couches sleeping, and we woke him up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was a big relief. But my kids were never runners. My son is more of a runner.
Yeah.
Like, he knows not to get in the road, but he'll run right to the gutter.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
And he does it because he thinks it's funny. Like he's like, we'll be at the park and he'll be playing and he'll just run to the road and you're like, dude, and then he looks at you like, I made you run, Dad. That's hilarious. Which it is.
He
But-
does too. He's got that like wry smile, like,
Oh, man.
eh.
Yeah, he knows.
like-
Yeah, you don't take him for or whatever. You don't. He's not a stupid one.
Yeah.
So you don't. So yeah, do watch your kids, but every kid's different too.
Yeah, I think for some reason I was blessed with 3 runners. So
Blessed.
yeah,
Is that the word you want to use there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's what you want.
blessings.
Yeah, you should go to Disneyland for sure.
I know. Well, we actually have those like child handcuffs that you handcuff to yourself, and they take like a special magnet key to undo, so they can't like slip out of it.
So you put one on each arm and
Yeah.
then one on your wife.
Well, usually we take them, like we forgot to take them to the aquarium, but usually we take them, and the rule is, okay, if we have to look for you one time, then you're handcuffed the rest of the day.
that you call them handcuffs too to the kids.
I don't. I can't remember what Crystal calls them. Something.
They're
you're
happy,
locked to me.
happy gloves.
Safety
Happy gloves,
bracelets.
Safety bracelets. I mean, they're like, it's like a 6-foot long cord, so it's
I
not
know.
like they're right next to you. And
Can I-
and that sounds extreme, but my kids are that bad. They
Yeah.
like,
No, they're pretty raunchy. But you know, it's
Yeah.
funny when we go camping up at your property, they stick around.
yeah. Well, and they've only ran off once up there, but I like it up there because I don't worry about them up there.
Right.
Other than a mountain lion, which I'm not as worried about as like a sex predator. You know what I mean?
yeah. No
So-
kidding.
So
The mountain lions don't tend to hang around groups of people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What kind of cougar are you scared of?
Yeah. 50-year-old ones.
anyway, sorry to derail your.
Yeah. So I've never really been against the whole chaining your kids up. Wrong wording. The
Safety braceleting your kids.
braceleting
Yeah.
Safety bracelets.
But our kids haven't been runners. They usually stick around.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So it
Ye-
makes a trip to Disneyland easier.
Yeah.
Just as a suggestion, I'm thinking if you do want to have your mind off them, I would just safety bracelet them to each other, and then if anyone finds them, they know something's wrong.
they're
They know
together.
something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got 3 kids handcuffs in their orange jumpsuits. Like,
The problem,
I know.
We're jumping over a fence.
so the problem with doing that is they already don't like. They just walk right in front of people, and they're like looking over their shoulder backwards as they walk. They
Right,
don't pay attention, so they're tripping people all the time. So having 3 of them
Clotheslining
linked
other
together
kids.
with like a big rope would just be a disaster.
it'd be like a tactic in a zombie apocalypse,
Right.
Not necessarily
like
okay.
like I would find them in a tangle of people, like a rat's nest.
Should we start the show?
Yeah,
Oh,
let's do it.
is this our intro? Okay, let's do this.
Welcome to the American Ford Podcast.
I like it.
I want to start a new, kind of a little mini segment, and it's called "What's Jake's Favorite New Restaurant?"
I actually talked about this week. More than Chick-fil-A?
It's a competitor.
Oh God, here we go.
I would say the spicy chicken deluxe sandwich at Chick-fil-A is probably 9 out of 10.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I had Cluck's crispy chicken in Orem yesterday.
Cluck's crispy chicken.
Yeah, it's in the little behind University Mall, right in front of the Cinemark. There's a
Yeah.
strip of stores. There's
Where
Five
no one,
Guys,
no one cares.
Wing Nuts. Yeah, the one
No
where
one cares where it's
goes,
at.
Where the sushi place that we love to go to used to be.
No, I mean no one
And now
cares
it's a
where it's at.
Chubby's.
They can
Yeah.
Google it.
It's called Cluck's Crispy Chicken, and it's fantastic. The fingers looked amazing. I didn't get those. I got the extra spicy Cluck's Crispy Chicken sandwich. It was really good. I would say that was probably an 7.5 to 8 on the scale. So not quite Chick-fil-A, but
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do we want to go to
Yeah.
something less than Chick-fil-A?
Why would we go for an 8 sandwich and when we can go for a 9?
well, like I said, but like a 7.5 to 8 for me is like a really super good crisp spicy chicken sandwich.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
If you don't like Chick-fil-A, try Cluck's.
Okay.
The only bad thing is it probably got rated 66% by the KKK
What?
because it's Clucks Crispy with a K
Oh,
and chicken is a C.
that's 66.66%.
Yeah. There used to be a consigned car corner in Pleasant Grove.
Oh yeah,
A used auto dealership, and it was spelled with KKK.
really?
Yeah. Why do you do
in
that?
Pleasant Grove?
Yeah. It was up until probably 10 years ago.
That really?
Yeah.
That's terrible. I'm glad they went out of business.
Well, yeah, it was there when we were in high school and then later. Which was 20 years ago this year.
Oh
Jeff,
yeah, we have a
for me and
reunion
you.
this year.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna sneak you into the reunion. Phil.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Phil. What?
There are people there. He doesn't like people.
Yeah, does it have people?
No.
Oh. Bink. Wink.
So Cluck's Crispy Chicken in Orem. Go ahead and try it out. Get
Okay.
their chicken fingers because they looked amazing. They looked
Yeah.
more amazinger than the sandwich, but the sandwich is really good.
Was that your local news?
That was just my Jake's favorite restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Jake's latest favorite
You
restaurant.
just want to talk about food, huh? I get it.
Yeah, food and McDonald's or what's the place? Disneyland.
Okay.
Literally nothing is going on in American Fork.
Okay, next.
So I have some Utah-wide news.
Ooh.
The Utah Lake Islands project is moving forward. Right now, they're in the process of, I guess, the United States Army Corps of Engineers is what they call it, are accepting permit applications, and they'll approve those and move forward with the project. So that is not a done thing, and they haven't put the kibosh on it yet, but there are a lot of people who are interested in what they call preserving the lake by putting man-made islands on it. I don't understand. The dredging thing is controversial, but
Did you hear about the big stink with the BYU professor? Were you going to bring that up?
I wasn't.
Oh, so this BYU professor has come out and against it, and he claims that he or she, I'm not sure, claims that
You don't know what they
I
identify
don't
as.
remember the identification, but they say that
You never saw his dick?
no,
Okay, just wondering.
the company
I hope not.
the company that's doing it, apparently there's like some shady financing going on. I think they have claimed that that it's tied to Kuwait or
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia or something
really?
like that. And or what's the Saudi Arabia. That's
Yeah.
where anyway, so the company is actually suing that professor for slander or whatever
Uh-huh.
because they're like, no, our money's not blah blah blah. So that professor is being sued by this billion-dollar corporation.
Because of those claims.
Yeah, that came out a while back.
Huh.
But
Maybe he should do his research before he
opens his mouth. Maybe. Or maybe he did.
Or maybe he knows something that most people don't.
Maybe he does. That makes sense to me that a project of that size would involve foreign money.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, when you said shady finances, I instantly thought U.S. government. But
Yeah.
I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I think Utah Lake could be cleaned up. I think they could put a huge city in the middle of Utah Lake and not even take up like a tenth of it. It's a big lake.
I guess
But
they're talking about putting like 11 to 13 different islands on it
like filling it up with islands.
or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. My take on it is that there's so much land in Utah that why do we have to build it there?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Like they could just build a really badass freeway and go out towards, the city center on what's it called? The city that's over on the other side of the lake. Just go around the mountains.
Saratoga.
Yeah, Saratoga Springs, and then on the other side there's a Mountain View or what I can't remember. Anyways, there's another city over there. If we just built a really awesome freeway, you could get over there in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the all of the beneficial microbes and bacteria that's in the bottom of the lake that's just sitting, and so dredging it is part of the reason
Oh,
why.
it's part of the.
Getting all of that sediment from the bottom of the lake up and using it as the the land for the islands.
I
But-
think it's the talking points. It's like, why did they build the islands off of India or wherever they built them? It's just saying that you did it, and look at this engineering.
Yeah,
Isn't
look
this
what we did.
amazing? Because it doesn't seem economically viable. It seems you could dump that amount of money, like I said, in a whole city
Oh, yeah.
out in the desert in a 5-lane highway that's
Yeah.
speed limit's 130 miles per hour. Why not?
My
Autobahn of Utah.
my prediction is it will be a disaster. It'll be like they'll get going and they'll be like, oh, there's actually 30 more feet of sludge than we thought there was, so we needed another $1 trillion government. And then they'll be like, nope.
And then there's a rare snail that we found embedded that we released the eggs, and so
And then there'll
And
be
it
all
turns
these.
out it's endangered and
Yep.
protected.
Yeah. And we'll find some like
Bodies, yeah.
bodies, skeletal remains of
Oh, lots of them.
Nephites down there.
Mhm.
And then it'll be a real big mess.
Yeah. Which actually reminds me, because I wasn't planning on talking about it, but you say bodies, and it reminded me of
the bodies.
I thought it was going to be Nephites that reminded you.
you.
no. So Susan Cox Powell,
Oh yeah,
2009 was killed or
Mhm.
went missing, and it's believed that she was killed by her husband Josh Powell.
Joshua creep ass Powell.
Yeah. And anyway, so there's been this long. It was a huge story at the time. They're from West Valley, West Jordan, West Valley,
West Valley.
Utah. And if you don't know the story, any Google search will give you kind of a breakdown of it. But basically, Susan Cox Powell went missing in December of 2009, and we don't know. It's suspected that her body was disposed of out in the West Desert somewhere in possibly a mine shaft or something.
That's a theory that they have, right?
It's a theory because of some of the evidence and things that Josh Powell had said, like just before she went missing, like, oh, I could easily hide a body. I just drive out to West Desert and dump
Throw
it
it
in
in a
one
mine
of the
shaft.
mine. And they loved to go out to Dugway and stuff and find the geodes and all that stuff. And go to the mine shafts and things. So he knew that area really well. Anyway, fast forward 12 years, there's a popular YouTuber known as Heavy D Sparks.
yeah.
He's just a rich guy that likes to do a lot of adventures and stuff. And he's been kind of obsessed with the Susan Cox Powell story. And he just recently released, 2 days ago on the 3rd, an episode on his YouTube channel called Heavy D Sparks, where they went to a mine shaft about 100-ish feet deep out in the West Desert that hadn't been investigated well enough before in the past, but a lot of the mines around in the area had been. And it was suspected. Anyway, you got to watch this episode. They haven't come out with number 2 yet, but long story short, they had the mine shaft is just a vertical shaft straight down. It's a hole in the ground that's probably maybe 10 feet around. And it used to have a big wood structure built over it, kind of like an A-frame with a door. And you could go open the door and go into the mine shaft. And there were some guys who go cave exploring in Utah who went in November of 2009.
Yep.
And the wood structure was there. And then in
They went in
December, she
Jan-
went missing.
And then in January, they went back to the mine
Yeah.
shaft, and it was completely collapsed and fallen into. And they were just like, that's just weird because it's been there for almost 100 years.
Yeah.
Why would it all of a sudden just be collapsed inside this mine shaft after Susan Powell went missing? So the cops and the detectives and police people did look into that mine shaft, but the problem was you could get down 40 feet, and then there's what they're calling the crow's
Bird's
nest,
nest.
the bird's nest, where all the debris that got shoved down the mine shaft got stuck there.
Piled up. Yeah.
So it got stuck there, and there's still, tons and tons of mine shaft
50,
below
60
that. So the
feet.
whole idea is if you threw a body or anything down there and then you collapsed the mine shaft and threw dirt on it, like you would create a mess. And it's a logistical nightmare to get out to clear all that stuff out. But this guy, Heavy D Sparks, has the resources and the desire to go and explore that specific mine shaft. So,
And they did.
I mean,
But
here's
they
the
didn't find anything.
well, they've done the first episode where they basically got to the bottom, but the problem is the lip of the mine shaft has been dug down too. So they believe he put quite a bit of dirt. If this is the real story that Josh Powell, right?
Mhm.
If it's a story that he dumped it into her, like dumped her in there and piled stuff on top, that he put a lot of dirt in there as well. So they have to logistically get dirt out of this vertical mine shaft hundreds of feet or something like that. I can't remember how deep it was, but it's a logistical joke basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They only have one episode. They spent that episode ended with them having cleared out almost the whole first bird's nest, and they still hadn't got down to the bottom. But they cleared that out, and one of the family members of Heavy D Sparks, I don't know his real name, posted on Facebook that they found bones.
Right, which I'm sorry to say, but you could easily find bones in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shaft in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, but
like,
they
an
said
animal could fall down there.
Yeah, they said we found bones, but we're going to keep digging. We're destined to get down to bedrock at the bottom. So if Susan Powell's down there, they haven't got down low enough yet
Yeah.
to get her body. Like if the theory is what Josh did, then her body would be well underneath what they've gotten to so far.
And what evidence led them to this mine shaft?
There's two rock hounds. Like, you know what rock hounds are?
Mhm.
They're guys that go out there and look for rocks. One of their methods of finding rocks is actually to rappel down these mine shafts
Right.
and find rocks at the bottom.
Right.
Because I don't know why, but that's one of the methods. So they go out and scout these mines and they plan it out. So they came across this mine the month before Susan Powell went missing, and they said mentally, hey, we want to go there. They checked it out and they're like, oh my gosh, we don't have the right equipment to get down here. They needed longer ropes or something like that. I was under the impression it was several hundred feet, but I could have misunderstood. I watched
I heard somewhere that it was like 150, but I don't think it was the official.
right,
thing,
and,
but-
and maybe it was an estimation. Anyways, long story short, so these two guys say, oh, we came across this, and then we went back in January with the correct equipment, and someone had destroyed the whole thing, and then we couldn't get down there then. They were bummed
like
out
that.
about it.
That's where it was all dug around the sides.
Exactly. And it wasn't like massively dug around the sides. It was just like, 6 feet, 4 feet, and like 2 feet down. But they were just basically like this whole structure that was up top is now in the mine shaft. Like,
And
it's just
someone
weird.
clearly buried it with dirt.
Yeah. So because you have a whole sticks and
Yeah.
wood, and then you have dirt on top of that wood. So someone pushed dirt in there as well. The thing is, they said that this place is like 3 hours away, but it's only like 20 miles or something like that, because the road to get to this mine shaft is so messed up and so crazy and treacherous. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Like, so why would someone go out in the middle of nowhere, destroy it, and then bounce out? And
Yeah.
it's been sitting there for 100 years almost.
And
why
it
would
was,
why would teenagers
been
just
burned,
like
too.
randomly destroy something?
Why would
way-
we do
way
anything
out
Yeah,
like that?
why would we do that?
right? Why would anyone? And the wood had been burned too, so it had been intentionally
Oh,
set
the wood
to
up
fire.
top,
The wood, yeah.
the
Well, down
structure.
the bird's nest that they found had wood that was burnt.
Oh, okay.
So clearly, someone had burned the structure, caved it in, and filled it with dirt. So as for every dig of the shovel, they're more and more confident that this was intentionally filled in.
Oh, okay.
And so, but the whole in the cold podcast I talked about goes through like everything, all the evidence and everything about the story. Josh Powell had rented a van or rented a vehicle.
The police took his vehicle into custody to investigate her missing, and he rented a car.
Yeah, and turns out he put like 800 miles in a weekend or something on the car. And so they suspect that wherever her body is probably somewhat far away, not somewhere close. And anyway, so and they know that he has an obsession with the West Desert and caves and all that stuff. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Those mines are crazy. Devin and I went in one of those once. Do you guys remember that? His dad knew this guy that was like a mine historian, and he took us down by Milford, and just like out in the desert, you're just like driving along. He just stops at some random spot, and we walk like 30 feet off the road, and there's an open hole, and we go down. It's like a steep shaft that you could walk down. We had a rope going down it, but we spent like a couple hours navigating down these shafts and ladders and things until you get down to where it's like tunnels carved out of the rock, that just go on for hundreds of yards, and you're like 1,500 feet below the surface at this point, like really deep.
Wow.
And we found at that depth a shaft that just went straight down, and we would drop stuff down it and just like not even hear it hit anything. It was like so deep.
Wow.
Like, and these things are just open all over the desert in Utah. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's like old coffee cans down there from like 1905, like
Yep.
perfectly preserved in the low oxygen, like just all kinds of stuff like that down in these things because nobody's been there for 100 years.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I've heard stories of people finding headlights, headlamps, jackets, pants. I saw this YouTuber once that found a pair of pants or a couple pairs of pants, and all I could think was, who the hell's going down in a mine shaft and taking their pants off? But they were like miners' pants, and they were Levi's, and these Levi's were worth, because of the low oxygen environment, they were preserved, and they were worth like thousands of dollars because they're from like the turn of the century. Yeah, pretty neat. It makes me want to do it, but it's sketchy.
Oh, it is sketchy. Like Devin almost got killed coming back up the shaft because he would send two of us up at a time, and the other two would like hide out of the way. So Devin,
So if rocks fell or anything.
so me and Devin's dad went up halfway and then went back into this alcove, and we're just hanging out while the other two are coming up, and then we hear something get dislodged out in front of us and start rolling down, and Devin's like, "Quick! Quit throwing the rocks down." And we're like, we're not. We're like sitting back here. And like they keep coming up and something else dislodges and like a big rock, like the size of a basketball, goes
my gosh.
shooting down this thing and hits Devin in the leg. And he was like, it didn't break his leg, but he was pretty badly injured.
Man, that could have been so bad.
Yeah, really bad. And this is like, I would say it's like 1,000 feet on a steep slant, like steep enough you have to hold a rope to get down or up it.
Right.
And that was just the entrance to get into this place. So
Wow.
it's like they're gnarly dangerous to get into, and they're just open.
That's
So-
crazy. Yeah, we've done. I didn't know you guys did that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
That was I want to say it was shortly after our missions.
yeah, it was a while
We
ago.
went and did that.
Oh, cool.
So it's been a while now.
I must have missed your phone call, but it's fine.
Yeah, we didn't call you.
Oh.
You're too cool for us.
Was that at that time?
Well, it was really like it was a bring one friend type
Oh
deal.
yeah. No, I'm just teasing.
Because the guy is like, so, I mean, he seemed to know what he was doing. He had us take all this food and water down with us, and we
Yeah.
pretty much each of us took 3 times as much food and water than we were going to use that day down with us. And
Just in
and
case
he would
you
have us
couldn't get
like
out.
leave it in like nooks and crannies. Like this whole mine shaft was full of like batteries and Gatorades and cans of stew
Just in
everywhere.
case?
Yeah, in case he got stuck down there or somebody did, that you could feel along the walls and find something to find a flashlight, find
Wow.
spare batteries, all that stuff. Because he went down there all the time. I mean, he was a mine historian, so that's what he did.
Okay, give him a
1,500 feet. That
Um,
one was that deep.
Yeah, we were down that deep when there were just shafts. Like we were climbing down stuff for hours to get down that low, and it still dropped. I would say 500 feet that shaft down there had to be. Like it was
That's
a really
crazy.
deep mine, and it might as well have been the size of a city underground, but the hole up top is like if you weren't standing 10 feet in front
Right,
of
a
this hole,
6-foot hole.
You'd
and that's
never
it.
you'd
see
never
it.
see it. And
Right.
if you're literally 30 feet this way, you wouldn't see it. Like it's just like mind-boggling. That's
crazy.
And there wasn't like
Get
a
it?
major road to it or
It's
anything.
mind-boggling.
Like you'd think a mine like that would have like railroad car tracks leading to it or a big road or something.
Or some indication that there's something there.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything, but
Yeah.
it's just out there. And down it, I don't want to go to, I could go off on this for hours, but there's some sections in there that are braced by these huge oak beams that are probably like 24 inches wide.
Wow.
And the ceiling is like braced against them, and the top of these beams are like mushroomed because the weight of the
oh my
wall
gosh.
is actually pushing down on them. And so imagine an oak tree pretty much that's like swelling at the top because it's like slowly being squished by this
right.
thing. And you're down in there like, yeah, this whole thing could just like flatten me instantly when these oak beams give away. But it's wild.
But did you die down there?
I didn't die.
Oh, okay. That's good.
You didn't die.
I'm
right?
okay. But yeah, what I'm saying is she could be hidden just in this one mine, and we could probably never find her. Like
Yeah.
if she was dropped down that shaft down in the bottom of there or stuck in some cranny somewhere,
Right.
we'd still never find her. And there are like hundreds of these things out in the desert.
Well, you
Like-
know, I had this. I was watching the video. I haven't quite finished this first one, but at one point, this Heavy D Sparks was sitting down eating a bag of chips, taking a break on a pile of dirt, and my thought process was, she could be right underneath him right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and he would never know because if
Exactly.
he threw dirt, if her husband threw dirt on top of her dead body, he could just be Heavy D could have just been laying there, and Susan's like, I'm right here.
Planted a
Hey,
baby
heavy.
plant a baby sagebrush on top of it and walk away.
In the mine shaft?
No, on the pile of dirt.
No,
You're
but
talking,
no,
he was
that
in
was
the
in the mine
he
shaft.
he was
down-
in there
down.
I'm not a-
sitting on a pile of dirt.
I'm not a herbologist, but I don't think that plants grow in mines.
They don't.
Jay Allen,
Okay, Jay,
Jay, call us.
where you at? Our guest now is Jay Allen. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have a guest.
You had me going there.
Oh, you thought he was really here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So next Utah story.
Oh, we're still in Utah.
And this will just be quick. Bridal Veil Falls may become the next state monument.
Huh. That's interesting.
That's in Provo Canyon.
Provo Canyon,
Yeah.
Bridal Veil Falls. It's like one of the gems of Utah County.
Yeah.
One of the places you got to go see. It's just a really pretty waterfall there up on the south side of the road when you're driving up the canyon.
When I describe it to people, I'm like, just imagine it's like you're at a wedding, okay? And the bride is up there, and there's a veil in front of her face. It's just like the waterfall. That's how I usually describe it to people.
It's the Bridal Veil.
You know, there's like 17 Bridal Veil Falls in the United States.
I know,
something like that.
probably.
Yeah, there are other ones.
This one's got a cool history, though, because, I mean, I know you're going to say this is quick, but good luck with that. Anyway,
We're an
But
hour in, and we
this was
just-
privately owned, or at least the land on the bottom, and it was like an attraction. Like, they had like a little petting zoo down there. You could take a tram all the way up to like a restaurant that was built into the cliffside for a long time. That's been closed down.
Yeah.
This particular place has been set up as quite the attraction, but has always kind of failed, it seems,
Yeah.
due to rock slides or
Yeah,
financial.
I think
difficulties.
they stopped the tram because it was destroyed from an avalanche,
Right.
and so
Did you
can
ever
no
go-
longer go up. I've never been up there.
Did you ever
no.
go up there, Phil?
Mm-mm.
Oh gosh, I so wish I could have. The restaurant's still up there, obviously.
Yeah, the building's up there. I wonder how many people have gone up, and
I wonder how you would get
And
to
cook
it.
some eggs up there.
you
Yeah.
can get up you can ice climb up there probably.
No,
in the
thank
winter.
you.
Yeah, people do that every winter.
Ice climbing on
Yeah.
it. Oh,
Our next
wow.
guest is Kevin Dickerson, Mr. Dickerson.
Hello.
Do you still ice climb? Yeah.
That's one of the wildest pastimes, I think.
I've never done it.
Ice climbing?
Yeah, I've never done it. I would
I
I would never do it.
Closest thing to ice climbing I've done is like walking up my steep driveway when
Yeah.
it's winter.
Well, you do have a steep driveway.
I know.
It
I
is-
was
That's the
invited
joke.
by a guy in my ward to do ice climbing,
Oh, really?
and I said I would like to do that.
I would do it if the rope at the very top was in a rock and not the ice. But the ones that just like free climb with some hooks and spikes on their shoes. What do they call
Crazy.
Yeah.
those? Crampons. That
Isn't that what you put on a salad?
yeah.
That's not where I went. But go on.
Oh.
That's cool.
Isn't that
Anyway,
the monthly-
I think it should
So-
be. It should be a monument.
monument?
A monument. Yeah.
I guess so. If that changes anything.
Probably not.
Yeah, they're. So it was voted by the Utah County Commission made up of 3 people, 2-1 in favor. The one that voted against it, she was concerned that it would become, they would start charging money for people to go see, and she didn't want that deterrent.
What we should do before it becomes a monument is take a Zest bar, a bar of soap, and go underneath the water and wash our bodies.
Wash in the
And yeah,
In
it
the
hurt
delicate
like hell,
pool of-
I think.
frogs and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
Film
go.
a little commercial.
But it doesn't actually go into a pool; it just goes into
A
a
pile
rock
of
hill
rocks.
and then babbles down to
Yeah.
the creek,
It's pretty sketchy.
which meets up with the Provo River. There is a builder who has wanted to put a tram, basically put a restaurant up there again and have a tram that goes up, which would be awesome. But if it was a state monument, they probably wouldn't end up doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about it, but that might be the next Utah state monument.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Goblin Valley has upped their game in the last. I think that's a state. Well, it's a state park, and I mean they've got like yurts there you can rent now, and they've got a nice pavilion, and
You're kidding me.
that's kind of the equivalent of a tram and a restaurant, right?
You're kidding me.
You're kidding me.
Click. National news. So Whoopi Goldberg is suspended from The View because of comments she made about the Holocaust.
Of course.
I saw that. I think she was very confused when she was saying it. I don't think she knew exactly what she was trying to say.
What did she say, actually?
She said they were talking about the Holocaust
Careful,
on the show.
Jake. Careful.
And yeah, I need to. And Whoopi Goldberg said, she stopped everyone. She says, we gotta realize that the Holocaust was not about race. It was about people's inhumanity to man and the way that we treat each other. And so that caused some controversy on the show. She eventually got suspended for 2 weeks. If she was someone on the right,
She would have been
was
murdered
white.
for 2 weeks.
she would have been fired and completely canceled. But that's a different story.
So what
so
was
she
her?
said it's-
what was her argument?
It doesn't make sense to me. I didn't listen to enough to really duplicate it, but it didn't make sense.
I think she was trying to be cognitive about the grander idea behind the Holocaust and that the Nazis were inhumane. And it can't, I think, like in her defense, I think she misspoke and wasn't really able to kind of share why she thought that way.
That's
but-
what I'm saying. I don't think she fully had the thought together. She
Yeah.
just started talking.
She probably wanted to have the conversation go in that direction. But anyways, she...
Well,
I think her message was simply this: you race is not the only factor. Like if it happened to another race, it would have been equally as tragic and terrible. I don't know, and I'm not saying I agree with her at all. I'm just saying I think the idea she was trying to get across of the real travesty was how mankind treats mankind.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real problem. I think that's what she was trying to say, but like really failed at it. And the bottom line is you can't say it. It's just like when people would say, well, all lives matter. It's like, oh, you're detracting from black lives now. You know what I mean? And somehow
yeah,
that
you
was
don't
a
like
bad
black
thing.
people because you say all lives matter.
Right.
It's a...
The statement is correct. However, you got to place the statement in the correct setting. You can't say it wasn't about race because guess what? It was very specifically about race. Like there was very specific races that were attacked and victimized in the Holocaust. That's all there's to it.
At the same time, though, wasn't it not only the race though? Like, weren't they?
Yeah, it was...
Weren't they doing like handicapped people and
Yeah.
all
yeah,
kinds
anyone,
of stuff
it was
like
about not just ethnicity, it was about religion, sexual orientation, political beliefs,
But the point is, it was about race.
But,
it was
right,
also
the whole-
about other things.
Well,
but
yeah.
it was about
The
race.
whole Nazi movement was about if
Right.
you're not a pure, if you didn't have 4 grandparents that were German, you were probably racially inferior to
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah,
who
and
were.
I get that. A little bit, I see that she's not like totally wrong because, like I
Yeah.
said, it wasn't totally about race. I also think though that she could be. There is this mindset that like racism is only about white supremacy over Black Americans in America. You know what I mean? And so,
Right.
in some ways, it might have been a stupid comment because some people just only think that way. They're like, oh, this is what racism means. It's only this.
Right.
Instead of like worldwide, there's racism in every country, every culture. Like,
And
it's
in most cases, it's far worse outside the U.S. than it is within.
yeah. In some cases, it's worse. I mean, here I'm going to say something that'll get me fired from this show, but
It's okay.
there are
We'll
lots
give you a
of
severance package.
there are lots of racial instances of racism historically worldwide and maybe even today that are way worse than it's ever been in America. Like there are whole races of people that like the Holocaust is a perfect example. But what was the other one? The Hotel Rwanda thing, the Rwanda genocide.
Mhm.
That was a purely racial thing, and that was just like, let's kill this whole race like that lives amongst us.
Right.
Like that's crazy. And I'm not downplaying. There've been horrible, terrible things in the U.S.
Right.
You know, with racism that linger even to today. But thankfully, you know, we're doing a lot better today
Yeah.
than we were, 50 years ago.
You know, here's something, and I hope Beagle secretly listens to the podcast because I'm going to give him a really good compliment right now. Jake said in the beginning of this that, we have people with different opinions on this show, and the truth is that our opinions change too. And I think that you're insane if you are unwilling to change your opinions. And this is one that has changed for me. Once upon a time, I think it was probably around the 4th of July, we were talking about an alien invasion, and I thought to myself, what will unite the world and the world races would be something outside the world or something world damaging, like massive earthquakes and like something has to bring the world together. But I had this idea that it was just something bad, like this alien invasion from Independence Day, right? or whatever.
But you realized it was Whoopi Goldberg.
No, that'll bring the world together. No, then Beagle said something to me, which was something to the effect of, I don't remember because it was quite a while ago. He said, why does it have to be something bad that brings everyone together?
Yeah.
Why can't we find something good to bring us together? And he brought up the point that crime was the lowest in the United States ever the day after we all landed on the moon.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's right. Why does it have to be a bad thing? And we need to figure out, how do we bring a whole nation together? Oh, and a whole world together after that. We have to take care of our own house first, in my opinion. Then we can take care of the world. But we do need to start having leadership and a goal and something to unite, because right now it's ridiculous. Stories like this with Whoopi Goldberg, I hate the fact that there's even sides where some people are saying, "Yeah, just serves her right. She's a freaking blah, 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 blah." And then other people are
they're
like,
calling her like pro-Nazi, anti-Jew,
It's
ignorant,
crazy.
and it's
Well, and instead of suspending her, why don't they just, like, they could have not suspended her and just invited on some, like, Jewish
a Holocaust
survivor or pro-Jewish whatever to come on next week and be like, hey, I didn't like that. And she probably would have been like, well, this is what I was trying to say. And he would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
Or he would have been like, well, I still don't like it. And she'd be like, fair enough. We'd all move on. Like, and everyone would learn from it and hear from different sides of issues. Like, instead, like, it's like we've turned society for adults into the second grade, where it's like, teacher, they did this, punishment. It's
you're
like
suspended.
Yeah, you go sit in the corner.
Right.
It's like,
put on this dunce cap.
right, exactly.
That doesn't happen
yeah.
anymore.
I don't think that the news corporations society, big industries as a whole understand the value in positive interactions where people get together who disagree.
Yeah.
Like it's I love hearing stuff like that.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
We should
On
start
the
a
American
podcast.
Fork.
Let's start a
podcast.
podcast where we talk
About-
about how things are different. We can come together
Yeah,
and
how
talk
people
about
can
something.
come together.
And we don't even, none of us have been suspended yet for all the horrible things we've
Well,
said.
Jake's mom's our only listener, and she can't suspend us.
That's true.
Right.
She could suspend Jake, though, from
From
Sunday
family dinner.
dinner, yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
Which is
Jake.
tomorrow.
Sorry, Jake.
I might not be able to make it.
yeah.
So my main topic is actually going to be a great continuation of this discussion, but I wanted to bring up something that I know Phil will be happy for. And that is that Intel has announced that they will be building a semiconductor plant in Ohio.
Oh, yeah, I did hear
Are
that.
you a big fan of Ohio?
American jobs, I think, is
Oh.
what he's
Yeah,
getting at.
American
gotcha.
jobs.
I get you.
So
Manufacturing.
yeah, so Intel, they make computer chips, silicone chips, and there has obviously been a major shortage. We've realized due to
He's going to say it.
COVID that
I
there's
thought it was supposed to be dollars.
I don't know why you brought coins, Jake.
it's because you
Jake-
can hear it. It's the sound.
Oh,
I want-
okay.
Jake
Yeah.
brought like 45 pennies.
He keeps saying they're dollar coins, but he's lying. Everyone.
silver dollars.
Yeah.
They're all
Jake's
silver
mom, he's
dollars.
lying. You need to punish him.
But anyway, due to COVID.
Due to COVID, there's obviously been we've realized as a country how dependent we are on China and foreign countries for our products, and computer chips is one of those things that has seen a major shortage.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that's one of the positives, unintended positives that have come out from the pandemic that we've realized that we need to be more independent as a country.
We need to bring industry home in certain industries.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Intel building a semiconductor plant in Ohio is super good news. Jobs wise, locally manufactured products. I don't know if, obviously silicone is from different parts of the world, but
Mostly in cosmetic surgeons' offices.
yeah. But
It's a boob joke.
That's some good news.
Yeah, that is good news. I think we do build a lot. Like Intel Micron is just up the mountain here. They build the wafers there for the chips, which are like pretty much like 30 chips on a plate, pretty much. And I only know that because I helped build those buildings. And so when we went to do the training seminar, like this is what you have to know to work on our site. Like I was going to be spraying brick with acid, but I had to learn that they were building chips and like how they were doing it, some weird thing like that. But anyway, so some are manufactured here. That's good that they're going to be doing more.
Yeah, I mean, but Intel, that's a big thing because it'll have a lot of jobs.
Yeah. And so in a way, it was like China's like, yeah, we're going to release this virus. So Hong Kong quits protesting, and inadvertently, maybe it'll destroy their economy.
You're so racist
Wait,
by saying
have you
that.
told anyone about that?
No,
Is that what happened?
uh,
You should probably tell someone.
I've told everyone,
Oh, okay.
all 4 people that listen to this.
Jake's
podcast.
mom, sister,
Jake's
brother,
mom,
and wife.
Jake, you, me.
Oh, that's 4.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
My mother-in-law listens too.
Oh yeah, that's
well,
right. 5.
yeah, your mom.
Okay. Shout
as a
out to
category.
moms.
Word up, moms.
Yeah.
Moms are great.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think that without them, we wouldn't be here. World news.
Oh, thank God.
The Olympics are going on.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
That's about it. Next story.
No one cares.
I'll just say real quick. I usually try and watch the Olympics, but I am boycotting the Chinese Olympics.
You're
Yeah.
boycotting the Peacock app?
Yep.
I am too.
No,
I
you
haven't
really
watched
are.
any
You're
of it.
consciously not going to watch it because
Yep.
it's in China.
I don't want to support it at all.
Yeah.
So it's the equivalent, I think, of watching Nazi Germany Olympics.
So I am not watching it this year. I'm gonna say it's because I'm boycotting, but the truth is I never watch it. But this year, that's the thing that changed. Is that
That's
I'm
it.
saying
Oh.
it's because I don't support it.
Yeah, there you go.
Usually, I just don't even mention it. But
Yeah.
now,
And Biden kind of boycotted it. He's not sending any U.S. officials to it.
But we do have athletes
Yeah.
representing the country,
Yeah.
which I thought we were not going to have.
It would have been better, I think, had we boycotted it. I think they were like, "Oh, but the athletes, blah blah blah." But
it is
and in a way, like it was a big deal. What was that guy's name? That black runner who won?
Usain Bolt.
No, when in the Nazi Germany Olympics.
Oh,
So he's a super famous guy, but he won,
Michael Johnson.
and that was like a huge deal because Nazi Germany was like anti-black people or whatever, and so we sent this black guy over that crushed everyone over
Yeah.
there. So that was like kind of cool. So I guess in a way, like if our athletes are still kicking their butts,
yeah.
then that kind of feels a little better, I guess. But
I have seriously not watched or listened to anything about it, but I wonder if they will use, because I did hear a news report that their testing is going to be like very strict. Like they test the athletes and the athletes can be removed if they get COVID, right?
oh,
And I'm like, okay, here's an easy way to like remove competition.
yeah,
Right.
Oh, positive test for COVID, asymptomatic.
Which
You
we-
can't get on my pole vaults.
Which, as it turns out, is very easy to do. You just basically
take a test.
take a test, and you change when they do the results. They change how deep into the sample they're looking or whatever. So if they're
I don't know.
Well, it's China, and they've had like 45 cases in the last 2 years.
Yeah, so they should be
so
fine.
yeah, for some reason they're immune to COVID.
Yep.
Almost like they were all vaccinated against it.
I hope we get the Olympics here again. I keep hearing that we bid for it
In
and
Utah?
try and go for it. Yeah.
yeah,
The Winter
I think they're
Olympics.
still trying.
2030, I don't know, something like that. I think was the next one that they're bidding out.
Oh, I thought they won one. I thought it was coming here in like 2030.
That would be so cool.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I know
so-
China is the only country, maybe Beijing is the only city that has had both Summer and Winter Olympics.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I'd want Summer Olympics. I don't care much about Summer Olympics as much. I think it'd be more fitting to have Winter Olympics in Utah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we could do Summer Olympics for sure. We got the space for everything. We got the venues, I'm sure. But I just think Winter Olympics would be cooler.
Yeah, so we did bid, I guess, on 2030.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully
we'll
we
see.
get it.
Hopefully, except they say that the Olympics almost universally is like bad for the economies of the places that it goes. It's more of like a status thing. Like
I think
we're the rich place that can hold the Olympics,
Yeah.
but it's otherwise like
It's good for the economy maybe shortly after, but then
they claim that it's not, that it actually hurts the economy somehow. I don't know
Really?
what that. Yeah, and I
it's
say
all the
they.
it's all the plastic bottles.
Yeah, I don't know what it
Oh,
is.
it
Maybe
comes.
it's like the cleanup, or like, or the fact that like so much stuff is put into it that maybe doesn't generate jobs. I don't know.
Here's the
I
thing:
don't
there's
know.
so much energy and effort that's put into it, from building structures to setting things up to logistically getting things in here. It costs so much money to put on the Olympics that
Yeah.
they probably don't make that money back.
Yeah, maybe
like even
that's
with the
what it is.
extreme ticket sales and all that stuff. But what I would say it does do is like we're at 20 years later now since we had the Olympics here. We've got some amazing facilities.
Yeah,
Amazing facilities. We've got some amazing bridges and road projects that were
still
done.
monuments that are being kept up, and
We've got. I mean, I go to the Kearns pool, and the rec center there was the old Olympics speed skating oval, and it's an awesome facility, and that's going to go on for another 40 years. You know,
I think
20, 40
I think
years.
Utah did it very, very well. That's
Yeah.
one good thing that Mitt Romney's done is make the Olympics very successful, and still people, I'm sure, come to Utah and they see the monuments outside of the different places that they held the Olympics.
Right.
and
bless you, Mitt
facilities.
Romney.
God bless you.
Yeah, you're gonna be president next.
Sorry you got asymptomatic COVID.
But yeah, Olympics, that's more about it than I wanted to talk about.
Sorry, Jake.
But actually, that does bring up a good point on it. I've seen images from like a lot of Olympic ceremony or Olympic facilities that are completely ghost town wastelands
Oh,
full
yeah.
of weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The China Summer Olympics locations are all overgrown, never used.
Right.
Like, I think it takes. They should probably do. I don't know. How do you maintain those facilities that are only used for worldwide events?
Well, that's the thing
Yeah.
is you got to integrate it in with your society, and I think that's what Utah did well. Is like Kearns, Utah. Like no one wants to go there. Like there's no reason to do that, but they had the land and they built the facility there that now services. It's a sweet facility, and it has a full use now, like
Yeah.
a big ice skating rink, and it's a year-round facility everyone uses. But like you're saying, if you're in China, you're not going to be able to build facilities downtown Beijing just because the infrastructure is too crazy.
Yeah.
That's why Utah's so great for it. If we had to build more structures, we would have the land for it. We would figure it out.
Oh yeah.
If they said, yes, you're going to have 2030, you're going to have the Olympics, we could easily figure out, okay, well, let's build a new stadium over
There'd be
here.
apartment complexes come up the next day, and
Yeah.
an LDS temple, and like
Yeah.
all this stuff, and yeah, I think it has to fit the place that you're at, and the Winter Olympics fit Utah really well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Or should we talk about it more, or did you want to?
Nope, I don't.
I don't so much.
Final world news: a 19-year-old woman sets the record for solo global flight.
Oh yeah.
A girl from a Belgian-British pilot named Zara Rutherford set a world record as the youngest woman to fly solo around the world, touching her small airplane down in western Belgium on Thursday, 155 days after she departed. So she's the youngest female to fly around the world, which is cool.
155 days.
It is cool, except now I'm worried that in 20 years we're gonna find out that isn't true, and she just like flew around in a circle around Belgium.
She went to
and
the edge of the
landed.
cube and then or the edge of the square and then back.
Yeah.
Or she took steroids or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
She faked it in the lab.
The
And I was just saying that because our story a few weeks ago was the 19-year-old billionaire who developed
lied.
that thing, and yeah, it turns out she was. I just
Yeah.
don't trust 19-year-old girls anymore. I don't know.
You know what? That's probably safe for you and your marriage.
Yeah.
Stay away from them. Stay away from them. She said that she wanted to inspire other young girls to get into the aviation field, which is cool because only like 5.1% of pilots are women. So that's cool.
That
and
is
you
cool.
know that because your dad is connected to that. But we don't have to talk about it because your mom's the only listener, and she knows that already, right?
Well, I did my research.
On
That's
your
why I know
dad?
that. No, on
Oh,
on that statistic.
but your dad has taught classes on aviation, right?
He currently does, yeah.
How many girl students does he have? 5.1? There's a 0.1 in there?
Probably 5.1% of them are girls. Probably fewer, actually.
Huh.
But, yeah. The world record was actually set, or the youngest person to fly around the world is an 18-year-old kid back a couple years ago who did it in 44 days. But it was like a 500-mile fewer distance was 500 miles shorter. Anyway, so this girl who flew around, like there were a lot of storms and things that kept her grounded, issues with getting visas, and so she was grounded for a lot more time than she had anticipated.
155 days?
It takes a long time to fly in a circle around that flat disc.
2,000 a circle around the flat disc. 2,800
Oh, by the way.
or 28,500 miles, I think it was. So
28,000 miles. It's a lot of miles.
It is. Can you get to the moon? There's like 3 of those, right, to get to the moon?
3 world circumference.
Sure.
I think the moon's
Distances.
like 286,000.
I mean, linear distance, not circumference,
Yeah.
because it's flat, right?
Yeah.
But the
because
moon,
the moon is flat
just
too.
a little ball that's kind of spinning around.
All the
above
planets
us.
in the solar system are flat. They're just tilted
Towards us.
towards us, so
Yeah.
they look round.
New movie called Moonfall just came out yesterday.
Oh yeah, did you go see it?
No, it's kind of a space-based thriller, Independence Day type feel.
It's a Roland Emmerich, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it?
Roland Emmerich is
Did
the
he
director of
direct
like Independence Day,
Oh,
earthquake, volcano, Yellowstone volcano, like all
Makes
those
sense.
disaster movies.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Sharknado.
I guess the synopsis or the idea is that the moon is actually like a man-made disc or thing
Yeah.
that they go inside of.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
to keep it from it's. I guess they're anticipating it's going to collide with the Earth.
Yeah.
And they ended up flying into the moon, and it's like it's manufactured. Anyways,
Wow.
It is not
interesting
yet fully
premise.
operational.
Interesting premise. I haven't seen it. I only saw a trailer, but I'll probably go see it.
Yeah.
'Cause
His
I like that
movies
type
are
of movie.
generally like entertaining.
Mhm.
They're like San Andreas was another one. All those like world-ending movies he does. It's like
Yeah.
the end of the world all the time.
Yeah, End of the World is super entertaining.
You know, it was a pretty good one that he didn't do, but was done recently. Was Greenland? Did you see that
Greenland.
with Gerard Butler? I think. It was a comet
The Phantom of the Opera.
blowing the world up movie. Here comes a comet.
Cool.
What's that movie? Where's the
Armageddon.
comet? Armageddon.
Yeah.
It's like an Armageddon type movie.
Don't want to close your eyes.
Yeah.
That one? Was that song in it?
That movie.
And what was the
Yeah.
other one on Netflix that just came out? Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, Titanic.
Don't Look Up. Did you see?
Oh
Don't.
no, I didn't. But I've heard a lot of people talk about it.
It was entertaining, but it was like extremely self-righteous. You could tell there were like, it's like a comet is coming, but nobody believes it, pretty much. Which is, I guess, a dig at like COVID deniers or climate change deniers or whatever. And it wasn't like a subtle thing. It was. Oh, thanks, Jake. Jake brought plenty of pennies for me.
That was a quarter. You could hear it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it was good though. It was worth watching, but it was like a little absurd.
We should have an episode where you guys talk about all the newest movies that have come out, and I just sit here and have no idea what you're talking
Oh
about.
yeah, because you don't have Netflix.
I'm like, did you guys see Enchanto?
Yeah,
I saw Paw Patrol for the
Encanto.
17th time.
yeah. Paw Patrol
The movie? Yeah.
and Wild Kratts.
No.
Do you not have Disney Plus either, Jeff?
Oh, I have Disney Plus.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
but no.
Did you see Encanto?
Like 30 times, yeah.
But you don't have PBS Kids.
No.
Oh, it's free.
Oh,
It's
that's
on,
cool.
It's just an app you get on whatever,
Okay.
so you can watch
I'll do
Wild Kratts.
I did put on Yo Gabba Gabba for my son,
Yeah.
and he
Love
loved
Gabba
it.
Gabba.
It was great. Yeah. So that's my reality. If it's not animated or over the top, ridiculous, like kind of creepy actor with cartoon people around him, like Blue's Clues,
Clues.
Yo Gabba Gabba.
Wild Kratts, you'd love it.
I think I know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're yeah.
Used to be Kratz Creatures.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
the two brothers who.
Yeah, and they learn about
Talk about
animals.
animals,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they turn into cartoons.
Wild,
So I can talk
wild,
about this for
wild,
hours.
Wild Kratts, wild Kratts, wild Kratts, wild Kratts.
That one.
Yeah.
Zaboomafoo is the name of the jumpy monkey dude.
I could talk about
Isn't
this
that his
for
name?
hours. I have a lot of reality and understanding of all the kids shows.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Oh, are we done?
No, main topic.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
Oh.
Tasty.
So I jotted down the things that you guys wanted to talk about, and one of them actually, I'm glad Phil you brought up because I was thinking heard a lot about this one too. It's the Joe Rogan situation going on.
Oh
right
yeah.
now between Joe Rogan and Spotify and a lot of artists on the Spotify platform. So basically, Joe Rogan had a couple guests who are in the medical field, a virologist and another doctor, who basically criticized or disagreed with the way on his show, criticized the way that society, governments, the United States in general, are handling the pandemic.
COVID.
With mask mandates and vaccine, attempted vaccine mandates and all that stuff. And Joe Rogan was like lambasted by people, critics, and Joni Mitchell, the musician, and who's the other one? I want to say Ken Rogers.
No, yeah.
Oh, Neil Young.
Neil
Neil
Young.
Young.
Yeah.
Pulled their music off of Spotify in protest of Joe
Disin-
Rogan having these guests.
Accusing them of
oppose-
disinformation.
Yeah, exactly. And And so anyway, so there's this controversy about Joe Rogan and the kind of guests that he has on his show, and just wanted to know have a discussion on that as far as what direction are we headed in? Is it right for platforms? Spotify ended up pulling about 70 of his past episodes. And a lot of them were guests who were like Alex Jones from InfoWars, who's a very known conspiracy, like the foremost conspiracy theorist in the United States, and other very right-leaning politicians or commentators. They pulled those episodes from his show.
Oh, Spotify pulled them?
Yeah.
They just deleted them.
Yeah. So, and it was the whole concept of spreading misinformation.
Yeah, Alex Jones is interesting to talk about because he quite famously pulled this whole conspiracy theory about the Sandy Hook shooting. Remember that? And he's now lost like a couple court cases over that, because the families were like,
he's accusing them of things that.
Well, he's saying like this terrible tragedy. He's saying that like it was made up, pretty much.
Oh,
he said
see.
it didn't even happen.
It was a staged event that didn't. It wasn't an actual like shooting.
Yeah, so the guy's insane, and he's been sued, and like I think he's like going bankrupt or something now. But does that mean, like, do we need, just like I was saying, are we in the second grade? Do we need, as adults, do we need somebody to like pull a blanket over us to say, oh, we're protecting you from this guy, or can we choose to listen to him or not? Like,
Right.
and they're like, well, people are listening to him. That means that he's spreading misinformation. Yeah, he is spreading misinformation. And aren't they free to listen to it or not? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
It drives me insane because what we're doing is we are taking out the personal observation abilities of people, and we're saying you're too stupid to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to decide for you.
Right.
So, like, why would we not take a lot of things? I mean, you could take this to the extreme and say, you know what? We have to cancel the Titanic movie because it is historically inaccurate. It's spreading misinformation. Because there are really people that think the events that happened on the Titanic movie really happened in real life. Like, they believe that was a very realistic, documented account of what occurred there. And it's not. Things have been embellished, and obviously not many people know because there weren't as many survivors. So they you know what I mean? I know that's a silly example, but like, at what point do we end and just go, you know what? People can decide for themselves. And then at what point does it turn into a religious discussion of like, this religion is spreading misinformation. There is no afterlife. There's no scientific evidence that there's an afterlife. So we must cancel all Christianity, Judaism, blah, blah, blah. Everyone that believes in afterlife, you are not allowed to preach anymore.
How far does it go?
Like, where do we draw the line? And to me, I don't think it even goes that far. I think that's this big, grandiose idea of like potentially where it could have. But I think it's much more shallow than that. And I think that there are artists on Spotify, like, who was it? Neil Young?
Neil Young.
Yeah.
Go out on the street right now and just take a poll. Do you know who Joe Rogan is? Yes. Do you know who Neil Young is? No. Do you know who Joe Rogan is? Yes. Do you know who Neil Young? No. Yes. No. I guarantee that Joe Rogan is more popular than him. And he's so popular that people try and tag themselves onto him. And if Neil Young can tie himself onto it somehow, it's a little bit of publicity. And then these other artists that I'd never heard of, I see them in news reports now, like, oh, so-and-so has jumped on this bandwagon with Neil Young, and they're trying to cancel Joe Rogan. It's like, cool, he just got some publicity.
Yeah, he's just going to get 1 million more listens on his
next
episode.
So this is what I'm saying. We need to formally submit to Spotify that we're removing our podcast because Joe Rogan's on there,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
might make the
and
news.
we'll get So you're saying Neil Young,
That's
Joni
a-
Mitchell,
that's
probably
actually a
getting more
great idea.
popularity.
Yeah.
we would get more famous.
At least one more list. At least Jake's sister will start listening
Yeah.
or something.
It'd at least be Utah news, like
Right.
local podcast removes themselves from Spotify
Denounces Joe Rogan.
because of Joe Rogan.
Protest of Joe Rogan's heinous.
And we will
views.
not go back until Joe Rogan agrees to be on our show.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
But actually, and this might be the conspiracy theorist mind in me, but like I think those guys are so irrelevant now. Why are they playing this game?
Yeah,
And if they wanted to attack him for misinformation, they should have attacked him a year ago when
Yeah.
he was actually putting out information. Now this is in hindsight, and he's just getting doctors' opinions. For people to get
10 years
outraged
ago.
now,
They removed one of his fourth episode from 12 years ago.
wow.
yeah,
They went through all of his episodes and removed the ones that they felt were, I'm assuming, deemed as misinformation as of right now.
yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, and it's really interesting because the whole point of Joe Rogan, I thought, was not to have crazy people on, but just to have everybody on.
Have interesting
Like he-
people on that
he-
are different.
Like he has doctors on, like you say, from both sides of arguments, and he has wrestlers on that are like talking about wrestling, and he has crazy people like Alex Jones
Yeah.
that like it's just like this melting pot of people.
Yeah.
You know, these are Americans, blah blah blah.
yeah, he said, Joe Rogan, I guess, tweeted out a video in the aftermath of this whole thing just this week, basically saying, he said, I'm not interested in talking to only people who have the same opinion. I'm interested in finding out what is correct. And so by talking to people whose opinions differ, not even based on their opinions, political, religious, whatever, you've kind of filtered down, you at least solidify what you believe and possibly change what you believe.
Yeah.
I think, like I was saying before about Whoopi Goldberg, there is so much value in getting together and talking about things, whatever's going on, with people who may or may not disagree with you. You get a ton of value from that, and I just wish that the upper CEOs of these big news companies understood that concept.
Yeah.
There's
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's this concept that I've heard that is completely true. What are you going to gain by having a discussion with somebody that agrees with you 100%? All you're going to get in the end of that is agreement.
Mhm.
So you have two guys that think Ford is the greatest truck in the whole world. And if they sit there and talk about it, at the end, they're just going to think that Ford's the greatest truck in the whole world. Nothing could change. They didn't challenge themselves to look at anything different. But if you sat down with a Chevy guy and a Ford guy and they had a discussion and they were civil about it, it didn't start out with, yeah, well, F your bow tie or whatever, you know, like they actually had a discussion about it. They might realize that, you know what, I don't agree with this Chevy guy, but I understand why he likes that now. Their transmission's like this and the body's like that. And his dad had it and his grandpa had it. And the bow tie has been in their family for 100 years. Like, that's why he's like that. I get it.
Yeah.
I still think Ford is superior, but I get it. And I think that is the thing that is so missing in the society of like, you can actually come together and understand each other. But if you just sit down with people that agree with you all the time, you're not going to change at all.
Yeah, I think that when you're talking in economic terms, the concept is exactly the same. I think that nothing breeds innovation more than competition.
Right.
If you get the Ford and Chevy guy together and say the front axle on the Chevy is solid. You guys have got this independent axles on the front that break all the time. And so if we could take the Chevy's solid axle, this is just an example, and put it on the front of the Ford, you'd make Ford even better, right? So when you have people who disagree and coming from different viewpoints, it breeds innovation and creativity and all that
Challenges
stuff.
your mind.
Exactly. Yeah.
So digging into this Joe Rogan thing a little bit, you'll have to put some coins in inadvertently. I can't avoid it, but
We're gonna buy pizza with that.
my understanding is, so I don't have Spotify, so I haven't listened to any of the episodes that are causing the big ruckus, but my understanding is that one of them in particular, the doctor that he had on, is actually one of the inventors of mRNA vaccines or that technology. He's like the guy that invented it, apparently, or was on the team that invented it. Not to say that that means any of his opinions are right. That's an argument from authority fallacy, right? That just because they are qualified that their argument is correct. But it certainly means that they have an opinion that's worth listening to.
It's somewhat valid, maybe a little bit. Clearly he knows.
Probably at least not worth like saying you can't listen to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in my opinion, and again, I'm not saying anything. I don't know the gist of what he said. The gist, as I understand it, is he's pretty much saying that like this vaccine is no good. It's not working. People, hospitals are over reporting pretty much because of a financial incentive, which, you know, we've been talking about since the beginning of this.
Which is 100% true and just came out.
Yeah.
40%. If you showed up with a car accident and you tested for COVID, because they test everyone that came in the hospital,
right,
you're a COVID patient.
Right. Well, and to me, that makes sense. Again, I've said this a dozen times because the government is paying for it. Like,
right. They get money.
The government is paying for COVID illness. That's what Nancy Pelosi got up. We're going to make sure not one American has to pay for this COVID thing. The government is going to. So what that really means is no hospitals are going to take the brunt. It's just like, oh, you come in, oh, you don't have insurance? Well, let's make sure you have COVID type thing. and obviously that's like, you know, now people are mad at me because I'm spreading a conspiracy. But this guy apparently is very qualified. Again, it doesn't mean he's right. He goes on and he spills his own opinion. Maybe it's entirely wrong. But the idea that because he is wrong, that we need to make it so people can't listen to him, it reeks of
1984.
Communist style cover up. Whether it is or not, maybe the intention is good. Maybe those people genuinely think that if we subvert information or if we cover specific information and silence certain people, that a lot more people are going to live. Maybe they genuinely think that. But even if they do, I think it's wrong. I think even if it's true, I think it's wrong. Even if it's true that we silence certain people, and that's going to save 1 million lives if we do, I still think it's wrong. Is that wrong of me?
Yeah,
I think it's totally wrong.
I think that we should not silence people based on what we perceive as them being said as true or false.
Right.
Because
can you say with me Ministry of Truth? You guys read 1984, right?
Yeah.
The Ministry of Truth. That's all they do is they take the information and they correct it.
Is it Ministry of Truth or Ministry of Magic?
I think you're thinking Harry Potter, I'm pretty sure.
No, what?
I'm pretty sure it's the Ministry of Truth and True Speak, which is you start introducing all these preferred pronouns and like changing the way that people say things and what's correct and what's not correct, and they change definitions of things on the fly.
Yeah.
That is straight out of 1984 of True Speak, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, you're right. I looked it up.
It's the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah.
Huh? That's where the main character works, and he literally receives, I mean, back then the reality was newspapers, right?
Yeah.
It's not podcasts and Facebook and all this stuff, but it was newspapers. So a newspaper article would come in, and he would just say into a microphone, line 17 on page blah, 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 should read, Prime Minister won game of cards with his blah, 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 blah. And you look at the newspaper, and it says something totally different. And then all he does is he throws the original paper into the fire.
Yeah.
And then the audio gets corrected and someone else corrects the text.
Right.
So that the truth, quote unquote, gets published out to this section.
Yeah.
You know.
And see, and that's what's so weird is to me, it's so obvious that that's what's happening. Like to me, it's like, oh yeah, of course, this is exactly what's going on. But another listener is listening to us thinking that we are crazy conspiracy people by even like entertaining these ideas.
Yeah.
Like they think that, no, you're an idiot. This is the science. The science is that the disease is bad. You need to get vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. When I don't think any of us disagree that COVID has killed people, right? Or that it's
1,000 in the U.S.
yeah, or that it's been bad, or that people should. I mean, I at least think that people should get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't consider myself a conspiracy theorist, but just by saying that something is fishy about the way things are going, it's like
You're instantly labeled.
you're labeled as that, and like, and people just kind of like, oh yeah, he's one of them, you know. And
He's an
instead of
anti-vaxxer.
instead of just think about it, just think about what the government is doing. Does it feel right? Like, shouldn't the government, and not just the government, but the media, be doing it in a different way that's more open and more transparent, instead of just being like, oh, this idea, let's cover that up. That's wrong. If people listen to that, they're just going to automatically agree with it. Like that's the weird assumption. Like, oh, if you hear this doctor on Joe Rogan, millions of people are suddenly going to change their minds. I don't think that's true. I think the
No.
people that are listening in the first place already have their mind made up, and
Or they need
and that's why they're listening.
Or they need to be willing to have another person's opinion.
Maybe.
Like I said, you need to put yourself in a position. Like I listen to many things. Some are left leaning, some are right leaning, some believe in the same beliefs as me, some don't. And you need to round yourself a little bit with that. If you just hone yourself in on only certain data, then you do narrow yourself.
Yeah.
So,
But
Yeah,
Spotify's standing by
Joe
Joe
Rogan?
Rogan. Like, they haven't pulled the episodes.
No,
they pulled
they pulled
70 of his episodes.
Yeah, but they didn't pull these two that everyone's in a fuss about, that Neil Young's in a fuss about, right?
No, I don't think they did. And they're keeping a show on, which they should. And
Oh, I'm sure they would never end a show.
yeah,
For sure.
$100 million contract.
Yeah, and I think he has 30 million listens per episode or something like that. Or maybe it's 10 million. I think it's 10 million.
That is
4 million?
per
Okay.
episode, but
Let's
still,
call it a million.
But you know who they do?
It's by far the most popular podcast in the world.
Yeah,
But he does not. Jake's mom doesn't listen though.
No, she doesn't.
she doesn't.
I'm just pointing that out.
She doesn't know who Joe
Who
Rogan
Joe-
is.
yeah.
She might.
By the
she
way-
might know what the TV show that he has.
By the way, if you're listening to this
Fear Factor.
podcast, Joe Rogan is the podcast. If you've never heard that word before, he's like the Tom Brokaw of podcasts, except that he like talks about bodybuilding and has people on like
he really
Alex
talks
Jones.
about everything.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
it's one of the
everything.
most versatile podcasts, and it's the NBC Nightly News version of podcasts, pretty much. That's
Right.
the one that
Everyone knows about.
Yeah, but I want to play his video, and I like that it's not an apology. He's not an apologist, which I love. He basically, this is his response that he to Instagrammed out to
He grammed it almost instantly.
his people. Here you go. It's 9.5 minutes. We can cut it out altogether if we want, but
I don't think.
I
you should
think
listen-
that he
just go listen.
I
to
think
it.
that he should we tell people to listen to it?
Yeah, just go listen to it.
Go listen to it.
9 minutes. It's boring on
They-
this podcast.
It's
Jeff
ac-
has ADD.
It's actually
so-
really
I do have
good.
ADD, so.
Really good information. I mean, he says basically he does not apologize at all. He said, I guess the only thing I could do better is immediately following these potentially controversial. And that's the thing is someone's going to be offended. It's, the most listened to
No
podcast
matter
in
what.
the world. You're going to get millions of people who are offended by something someone said. And a lot of people are like, Spotify's reasoning for removing some of his episodes was because some of his guests sparked, potential homophobia or things like, I don't know. Anyway, he says that the best thing he could do is probably follow up each potentially controversial episode with someone who maybe is on the other side. Like you
Yeah.
were saying, Phil.
Or put 'em in
what
there
the View
together.
should have done is keep Whoopi Goldberg and then have a guest on the show who was a victim of the Holocaust. and you know, a Jew, and also maybe a homosexual or a uh, you know, someone who was of a non-Aryan race, anything like, right? So
Yeah.
that's basically what he was saying. Is I guess I could do that to make people happier.
You know, it's interesting. So Neil Young, I don't know if you guys remember this, but a few years back, he started that Pono company. Do you remember that?
No.
It was like he was pretty much like iPhones and iPods don't give good sound quality, so I'm going to make a player that's like top quality sound, which I was kind of excited about, but it came out and it was like a triangle shaped like iPhone
Never put
pretty
it
much.
in your phone. In your
Like you can't
pocket.
put it in your pocket. Yeah. And it flopped. He put like millions and millions of dollars into it, and it was a disaster. So I was kind of chuckling about that, but it's interesting the time we're in because it makes me think of who's the celebrity that just shot somebody on set? What was that guy's name?
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin. So I don't know if you heard about this, but recently he got into a spat with I guess one of the soldiers that died in the pullout of where do we just pull out of? Afghanistan.
Yeah.
One of the soldiers that died in that bombing, he donated some money to, and like
Alec Baldwin did.
yeah, and Instagrammed with like the family or whatever, or Twittered or whatever, and I think it was the sister of this man that was killed posted a picture of her with a MAGA hat on at the January 6th rally. Now, she was not a rallier or instigator. I guess she just was there, like I guess an hour before all the stuff went down.
All right. She's probably there at the speech.
Took a picture of herself in front of the Capitol. Anyway, he somehow, because they're tagged together, he sees that and like starts railing on her. And then was like, oh, and I just realized, aren't you the sister of that guy that I gave money to? And said something like, now I regret giving money to something like that because you are
because you wore a red hat.
because he said, you're an insurrectionist. He said, because you were there wearing that hat, you're an insurrectionist. And it's kind of in the same thing for me with Neil Young. It's like these people are like so... like they're treating people with different ideas than theirs like they are Nazis.
Right.
You know what I mean? Meanwhile, they're buying Chinese products when China is literally has millions of people in camps indoctrinating them against their religion right now. They're not. It just seems to me like people aren't even thinking. Like
Right.
they're so in this bubble of like comfort. It's like our society is so comfortable. We're nitpicking on these like, oh, you wore a red hat. You were at this insurrection. Now I'm mad at you. I regret giving your family money for your brother who was killed or whatever. I think he did say something to the effect of, I still honor your brother and his sacrifice, but I'm just sad that his sister is a insurrectionist or something like that. It was crazy.
Amazing.
So should we silence Alec Baldwin?
No, I definitely don't think so.
Oh, the
Okay.
murdering guy that hates everyone?
Well,
No.
that's the difference. I think is if you were to say yes, let's silence Alec Baldwin, then we would be back in the same boat as where we were with the other side, right?
Yeah. No, I think absolutely.
I think we should give him a podcast.
Yeah.
He has one.
Oh,
The Alec Baldwin How to Shoot People podcast.
gun safety with Alec Baldwin.
Murder a person and get away with it in 20 minutes or less.
Mur- gun safety and receipts for donations with Alec Baldwin.
But it kind of reeks of the same thing. It's like I think much more. There are things that celebrities could stop supporting and pull out of that are real humanitarian things. You know what I mean? Like worldwide. There are countries that they could not have their movies in or tour in or support that are horrible, but they are actually making money off of those things. Meanwhile, they're like they're boycotting these things in America that I feel like are very low on the issue scale, like
Right.
affect very few people. But they think they're being heroes somehow. Maybe they are. Maybe
While-
I'm totally wrong.
while financially supporting a country that is doing the very thing that everyone as humankind disagrees with.
Right, exactly. Like there are things that are universally agreed upon that they could support. Exactly. But these things that are like 50-50, they think that they're like taking a big stand on. I don't know. I'm kind of ranting here, but
Yeah, no, they'll go buy a pair of Nike shoes that were made by a 6-year-old in China that doesn't get to eat unless they get their quota. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just made all that up. But and everyone agrees that's not okay. Or they support global warming, which is frankly apparently a divisive topic.
yeah.
And they take a stance on that.
And the person listening to this who maybe sits on the other side of the issue, again, thinks that we're crazy because they're thinking COVID is real and you're denying it. You're trying to like sidestep the issue by talking about China and all this stuff when all that needs to happen is we need to say COVID is real and deadly and we need to get vaccinated and take it seriously. And like all this other stuff is a distraction.
Right.
Like
Well-
and Neil Young's actually doing a good thing because he's like, you guys have
a
all been
fighter.
spreading misinformation and talking about all this other stuff, and that's why I'm pulling out of this. I'm doing a good thing because Spotify is now supporting this misinformation that's leading to people dying. Like, and the famous thing is like the guy in the hospital who was like, oh, I didn't want to get vaccinated and now I'm dying of COVID, which is a real thing that happens to people, right? Right.
Yeah, and it's not even about saying COVID is real, it's killing people, we need to stop it. It's about saying what the CDC said today.
Right.
Right? You can't even say what the CDC is now saying that they didn't say a month ago,
Right.
or vice versa. No one's talking about how the science, what we know about COVID, has completely changed,
Yeah.
and it is now more in tune with what the conspiracy theories were saying a year ago.
Right. Well, just like Trent last week was like, "Oh, you're crazy. Of course it travels in sunlight or whatever." Well, no, it actually dies in sunlight. We've known that for a long time. It doesn't die instantly, but getting a package has never been a concern. They were never like spray your packages down when they come. Maybe they were like the first couple weeks, but after that they were like, evidence.
Yeah, I think they proved it's like in 30 minutes UV will kill the virus or something
Yeah.
like that.
So there are things, just like you said, that like now people will say, "Oh, this is okay," and people on one side of the issue are like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." When we're like, "No, this is literally what the people that you believe already are saying."
Right.
The most famous one is when the CDC came out and said that the vaccine no longer prevents people from spreading the disease. That's why people vaccinated or not are now being asked to wear masks. That's just what the CDC is saying. That's not what I am saying.
No, it's right. And there's a lot of contradicting information, and people have already made up their minds. That's why we need to have other people on the other side of the aisle come in and tell us how stupid we are.
That's why Neil Young needs to make an audio player that just filters out misinformation about COVID.
There you go.
So
and
like,
it could be if the shape of it was more like a COVID virus shape, it would be nicer to put in your pocket.
Oh,
Instead of a
you
Illuminati
could hang it
pyramid.
around your neck
It'd be
instead
like a
of
ball.
with little spikes on it with balls on the ends of them.
Yeah, I like it.
Why didn't you do that, Neil Young?
Jesus, Neil Young.
Yeah, you're not even thinking about safety.
Can we just end that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm really trying to see the other side of it. I think people are concerned, like, because there are people who have downplayed the virus more than it needed to. I think the majority of people have upplayed it more than it needed to. And like, who am I to say, or who is anyone to say, like, where exactly we were supposed to land? But where we should never land is like let's take away the debate about it, right?
Yeah,
Why-
let's silence people who disagree with the mainstream thought about it right now.
Right.
Because that it's just detrimental to society as a whole when you have big platforms that will not allow people to speak their mind if their mind is contrary to the status quo. It's detrimental
Yeah.
and destructive.
Like flat Earth is a great example. Everyone knows the Earth isn't flat. Like you don't have to do any science. Like what a joke. But isn't flat Earth entertaining?
Yeah,
Like
Yes,
hasn't
100%.
haven't all of us like watched a YouTube video and just like chuckled as we were going into it? Like it's just hilarious that this exists, right?
Yeah.
And people, whether or not the people who do it really believe it or whether they're just trying to get views, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't hurt anybody to believe something stupid, right? But what some people think is if you believe something wrong about healthcare or a disease, that's bad for all of us. It's bad for me because now you're more contagious because you think this way. I don't know. It's a bit wild.
Well, it's gotten to the point to where when I hear someone, and if I hear somebody has COVID, I'm like, oh, good for you. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it done with.
And
You've
you're-
got natural immunity, which is proven to be more effective than the vaccine.
See, that's
I hope-
misinformation, Jake.
I hope
Yeah,
you
Jake.
don't.
Quit being such a
I,
liar.
I hope you don't get super sick and go to the hospital. Like,
I'm
the
glad
vast
you're
majority of
alive.
People, I'm glad you're alive. Oh, your taste is gone. Sorry, but in 2 weeks you'll be a stronger person.
That's how I look at it. Oh, 1 million cases today. Oh, that was just like 1 million vaccines. I look at it that way, but other people look
That's
at it like,
Because
that's
you
racist and misinformation.
yeah,
Knock it off.
I
Stop
am
it.
misinforming you.
We better just stop all this. This discussion needs to end
Yeah.
before someone dies in this room of COVID.
You're welcome.
So let's come together, America, on the idea that having differing opinions is beneficial, it's healthy, and it breeds creativity, it breeds comedy, it breeds innovation. And we move forward when we come together and talk with people who don't agree with us, and we have a good time. And we love each other because that is the one thing that we can do is we still can love other people.
All you need is love.
Yeah.
So what? So just real quick, what would Neil Young and this crazy mRNA doctor? How could they come together?
Well, a lot of people are saying Joe Rogan should have Neil Young on his podcast,
Yeah.
which Joe Rogan, I know, would love to because he's said, I'm a big fan of Neil Young.
Right.
And I don't have anything against Neil Young.
Yeah.
Chances are Neil Young probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But if he did, people might know who he is, right?
Or better yet, why not have Neil Young on? Neil Young could bring any doctor that he wants. He could bring Anthony Fauci.
Oh, that would be so awesome of a show.
And Joe Rogan would have the doctor on that they're fighting against.
You know
Why
what?
not just have him on and let him talk and let people make up their own mind?
You know why? Because people are too proud. They're too proud. They have pride. They're like, oh, I'm not stooping to that level. And they have this idea that they're not going to waste their time. But the truth is, and this is my own opinion, they're cowards and they don't want to confront the person. People have big dick syndrome when they get behind a keyboard. But when it comes to facing someone face to face, people change their narrative. They change the way that they act.
Yeah.
It's not a problem for Neil Young to say something about Joe Rogan when he's hundreds of miles away behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
Or behind a microphone or whatever. And same thing with Joe Rogan. It's easy for him to say things about other people that may or may not be true. But when you get face to face, the game changes.
Yeah.
And if people want to civilly sit down and talk and have a decent discussion and are willing to open their minds, that's when things really happen.
That's when you call 385-DAD-0-MUG.
For the
Say, or
American
send an email
Fork.
to info@americanforks.com and say, I want to be on your show. I like that you talked about such and such. I have an opinion about that. I
Yeah.
know about the islands
Yeah.
in Utah Lake or the mines out in the West Desert.
That's right.
We love to have people to talk to people about things that are from all sides, and we invite anyone who knows anyone who would like to be on the show. We've actually got some really good guests lined up for the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. You can visit our website at AmericanForked.com and listen to all of the episodes, which are not going to be removed by any podcast player. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at American Forked. And my new Instagram and Twitter account called Fried Chick Review that I haven't posted anything on
It's a
yet.
shameless plug you got there.
Fried Chick, CHIK Review. It's where I'm going to be posting my fried chicken sandwich reviews.
In case you were wondering, Jake loves fried chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
More than his children.
I don't know if you knew that or not, but I do. So thank you for listening to the show. We love having you here. And if you would do us a favor and rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or now also on Spotify, but you have to listen to, I think, 3 episodes in order for them to let you review. So if you do that, it would do us a huge favor. It helps the show get out to more people when there are more reviews.
That's right.
We would appreciate that. And if you want to help fund the building of this studio, which is almost complete, you can donate some money at patreon.com/AmericanForked.
Patreon.com/AmericanForked.
Is there an echo in here?
Is there an echo in here?
Patreon.com/AmericanForked.
American Forked. Thanks for listening.
Good night. Good morning.
Love you. Bye.